Welcome back to EAFC Gameplay Analysis. My name is John, professional EAFC coach, and today we have a paid session coming in from a Division 1 player, a man Raquelme. He's booked with us a few times, and he wanted an update after, I guess, he wanted a booking after this update. So we'll get into some of these lines here in a second. I just want to show you guys essentially what happens right off the start here, and we're going to talk about a kickoff here. Update-wise, it's either you want to be small and tight or you want to be big and bulky. It's a lot of pace right now. Okay, so right off this first goal, Raquelme, the main thing is when we defend kickoffs, we really want to focus on defending these lanes. Okay, so what we want to do is we really just want to force them wide. So this area here, this pyramid area, you want to basically keep the ball away from that position. So what happens is the way I look at this is we need to really drag these players in and down like this. That's the way it's going to be a lot better for us. Okay, so what I see right now, this is a pretty good space. You're not in a bad space at all. I see potential rip over here, and so I might be on that fullback bringing these in right now. This isn't bad. This isn't a bad movement at all. That's a pretty good movement. But he does like a weird, the elastico, and then he rips it back. And when he rips it back to this side, it really throws you off because there's a lot of spacing here. What happens is this bad boy right here, this fullback gets really wide, and so you need to pull him down. That's an absolute mandatory thing. So if you ever see your fullbacks go really far wide, you want to rip these guys in. That is going to be by far the best defensive tip I can ever imagine in this game, the way this is coded. 6 months ago, you didn't have to do that. These guys would be about right here versus they'd be in this position right here, and then they'd wait for the rotation before they actually exited that space. The fullback's intelligence is how we score goals. And so you do a nice, good thing, but you're a little bit behind this curve. So basically, this angle is going to be opened, and he's going to be able to get, and you actually could have even covered it there, but you look like you had sat there, and then just in the space, you're still in a good spot, and we still had opportunity, but then we just misguided that, and that's not really on your fault. And then he goes 1-2 touch. He just basically rips from one side of the post to the other side of the post in like a zigzag formation, which is really hard to stop. So you pulled off of it. That's not really that. There's not really a huge coaching moment right there. But if you know what I mean, it's just don't pull off from it. And I saw you use double R1 there, so you did a pretty good job. But okay, that's the main thing, is just being tight. The fullback was really the issue there. So anyways, coming into this position, you're in a great spot. This is what I see so many players are doing right now. We get to this spot. If you follow my content, and Raquelme, if you've heard me talk about this before, this spot right here is what I call the queen's position. This is the most important spot that you can possibly imagine. And so when we get into this spot, we want to get here as fast as possible, because ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to get runs going this way. This is like the main objective of attack. We want runs coming through. Meanwhile, we want space away from this. Okay, we want space away from these guys, because what we really want is this guy to like try to pinch me this way, and then all I have to do is take a little wiggle and then try to slot a pass through. You'll see this time and time again. There's so many different variations of this, but ultimately it matters where these guys go. If they step forward, if they step back, if they step down, there's little tiny angles that we're going to try to hit him on. And so you do a nice skill move. He just starts ripping this way. And this is where you pull out of this. Unfortunate that this is an example of like mastery versus like ripping skill moves. If you know how to do skill moves, it's not necessarily what you should be doing in that moment. You do a great skill move, the timing's perfect, but even with the perfect timing, we pull out of it, right? Because we weren't doing what we thought we were doing, if that makes sense. So when I like to say is like speed, mechanics, there you have speed, awareness, mentality, the three key factors of all FIFA and almost any real, I guess, sport. But basically, when we talk about speed, we want to talk about not like how fast things are going, but really the speed in which I do what I want to do, right? Being correct mechanically and being correct efficiently. And so this is an example where you could have just you could have pulled into like an L1 and speed boost and then ripped a low finesse or a low driven and just gotten this one straight on and straight through. But this happens all the time. And so I want you to understand that if you're going to do a skill move, carry it out. I'd rather see you make a mistake and get tackled here, taking a chance one-on-one, than pulling out of it. However, you pull out of it, you do a good, it's still fine. You're still maintaining possession. And then we just rip this pass. And so your mind's down here, my mind's up here. And that's just the difference between, I guess, this moment. I was not expecting to try to hit this pass here. Because this is way too far out. So it's like boom. And so you see, I want you to look at this animation. The Blanc is not moving. You could have hit this and it would have worked because of the timing. Now, if you were just looking directly at him, especially if you have an incisive pass, if you use that incisive through pass, right like this. So see this is the correct animation. So you see how the AI is kind of like on their back heel. That's a development animation set. Okay, so when you make this and you make a proper pass this way, now depending on some variables of play styles, body type, height, weight, size, how fast they're going, lengthy, blah 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 blah, the more that are in your way, the better, right? And so ultimately it's really about like strength, size, and pace, how fast they're really running. At this point, it's not even, you know what I mean? And so you could have just ripped this and then boom, you got it. And so how we hit that side. So we just hit the wrong side there. So decent idea. And then we get pulled into a collision event. So now we're on a break point. Break point's looking okay. We're fine. We want to lock down the center and the wings, depending on how aggressive we want to be. So he's going to go right into a trap spot. That's fine. And there we go. This is good movement. That was great movement. That was great fullback movement. And now we're out wide. Don't get too far. Good. And he pulls off. Improper player switch, but that works. And then the ball just rips out. So this is where we made a small mistake, but we were still able to capitalize. So you did a lot of good on this. So you pull this in, you manually mark that, and then we're able to run this position. This is looking good. This is where game development, this is where if you really hit somebody hard, they might hit those. Have you ever watched FC Pro and you see those cheeky through passes? You're like, how the heck and basically what they're looking for is these little animations and they'll rip that. So be careful there, but you do a great job. That's like 1 in a million type of shot. But right here's where we made a small mistake. So if you look at your movement, okay, so if we look at our movement right here, this is multiplayer switching. Right now, you're in a great spot. And so what we really need to do now is just maintain. And like what I like to do is I like to do this little wiggle movement where it's maximizing efficiency in space and time. And what I mean by that is speed, efficiency, and time. And so the idea is that like instead of running directly to the position, this is much easier for the opponent to read your movement. So nobody talks about this, but really the key to defense and attack is to make these little tiny movements. And if you ever really watch Messi himself actually play, this is why he's such a genius. It's his movements are so precise and they're so cheeky, and like his movements not even this long. They're like these tiny little arrows that just add up. They're just like these little tiny movements, and he's able to then stop on a dime and rotate. And I want to explain to you though on defense here, what we can do is we can kind of like step a little bit and then rotate back to the position to gain time. And what you're doing is you're like doubling your time. So you're like significantly increasing your time because ultimately this helps us. And so if you take this angle, he's wanting to take this angle. But when we step this way, that's in preparation for him to turn and try to cut. And so now we can actually step back and then we're still in a good spot versus continuously going this way and then hitting with getting ripped by a cutback. So the whole point is right here, our switch is fine, but then we need to let go and pull off. And so you let go, you switch, but now we need to drive in, which is good. And we drive down, which is good. And then right here, you're ready for this rotation. But now what we want to do is this. This is where we made a mistake. Right here is now we missed and let that through. And so then we're forced to make this. So this is where I call it this is what I call like a 50-50 scenario. This is just the like with the more chance or a chance scenario. So the more chances you create, you let your opponent have like this, the more likely the play is going to work in their favor. So let's say they accidentally had De Jong right here. Next thing you know, ball comes out, De Jong's right here, and then he rips a power shot, right? Something like that happens. And so we want to eliminate these opportunities from happening. And to do that, you do a really good job of this movement right here. This is what I call multiplayer switching back and forth. But right here, hold down R1 and continue to let this rotation happen. So the first step is eliminating this threat and then making him rotate. He's going to want to try to hit this space. And so if you hold down R1, what you want to do, the movement is a little bit tricky, but basically you want to player switch between both of these guys, and you want to use R1. Whoop, I didn't mean to do that. You want to use R1 to kind of cut this position off in this position. So you're back and forth, and then he's essentially going to like hit this position. He's going to try to rotate. If they hit it really fast, sometimes they can. Sometimes they like to roll out and then try to rip this position, and then sometimes they like to go all the way back, right? And so this is really the idea. How many times have we really seen it in this game where what they do is they come down here, they come right here, and they hit that all the time. And if they don't hit that, they hit right here, and then they hit right here, and then they hit right here, and it's just done. Or they'll hit you right here. So the way to counter that is essentially you need to cut that off, pull this down, pull this down, pull this in. And that's really the movement. Cut it down, pull this in, pull this in, right? So you're essentially eliminating the interior, you're eliminating the edge, you're eliminating the front gap, you're eliminating the second gap, you're eliminating the third gap, and then you're enticing the opponent to actually take the furthest space down the width, which is the furthest position. So ultimately, we're essentially closing all this space out here. We're trying to eliminate all threats here, and we're allowing the threats to come this way, which then actually gives us time to set up in defense, and they usually can't beat the edge anyway. So that's usually the way to go. And so you just trying to eliminate these opportunities from happening. Okay, let's let it play out, though. Here we go. Yeah, so we just passed it a little early. That's all right. We can keep playing on it. And so, yeah, so our mechanics are just slightly off here. So what I mean by that is like, okay, so this is a little movement. Here goes right here. Okay, so now this is what I'm reading right now. This is the most important thing you could read. A high fullback press. Fullback comes out. You should hit this right now. You shouldn't try to hit this. And what the reason why is because now you can L1X this. You don't even have to use a player lock necessarily. You just hit this way too early. You really need him to be like almost like you need him to be like right here on this edge right here to hit this. So the angle's a little bit too wide, but now you need a ball roll away, and then he bruisers in, or you have to creative run. So that's a little bit off mechanic, but you see that fullback, you should just hit that. And now his center back's out of position, so we need to come right back in that space. Looks like we're looking for that, and you're trying to attack that right now, and it's just not there, right? So he's already in that position. You can attack this, but this has to be an X pass. That can't be a triangle. That's just the way the rotation of the opponent. So like if you see the angle of this he's running towards the location. His momentum's carrying him in much higher velocity than your player in that position. He's going to win that. Okay, so here we go. Good rotation. Good. You got him wide. Good. Great step there. All the way. 1, 2. All the way. That's all right. That's good. Right up to the striker. Good rotation. Let him come. Tap R1. Pull it back and then re-rotate this. There you go. Very nice. Very nice movement. This is clean, and we just didn't finish. That was very nice. That's exactly the movement that broke this entire play for him. So you pull him off, you pull him down, and boom, 1, 2, and then you had the movement. The only thing I do different in this scenario is instead of playing this like one and then playing it back like this and then playing it like that, it's a little less efficient to do it that way. What you can do is pass it here and just let him continuously run. Hit like a little fake, make him think you're going to hit that, and then he's going to charge this way, right? And then Suarez is running as fast as he can down the line. And so his movement would probably be about here right now. And also the incisive pass with Dewey would be nice as well. So now you're in a great position here. And so this is where you can be a little bit cheeky. This is where you have to slow this spot up, and you do a good job of getting that position. But the problem is we go directly this way. Do you see how we're going directly this way? That's actually in line with the opponent. And what you really needed to do, and let's see here. I want to see this rotation. I just want to see the input. So you do you don't sprint and you just start shooting. So if you think of the touch that you're taking when you shoot, that's where you started your shot is right here. So you started your animation here, right? So this is where we started our animation, and then that's where we basically ended to allow the animation to occur. And so now it takes time to allow that to hit. So what we really need to do is we needed to seal off a final, like a finishing moment. Or we need like another play style. So like you don't have a finishing play style. So this is really just knowing your players. So if you have like the low driven, this is where if you actually power this up and you do like a single bar, boom, you rip that, that's a goal. You wouldn't have to hit this. But what I'm saying is like you can tell that he's coming this way. If you fake and you cut, you might be able to move that. But then the thing about it is you're not always going to be able to finish these if you don't have the right players or play styles. So like if you have like the Henry card, he might be able to finish this pretty well, right? Just depending on how well the angle is. I haven't used low driven too much, but I believe this angle would work inside the box here. So somebody can fact check me on that, but basically the angle is more important, but the distance I think factors in that driven power. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is you need to do a little wiggle work, is what I call it. A little wiggle work here and get him to slide and shift to a different angle and then be able to rip him again. Instead of just forcing a shot. So many players force shots, but it works out. We get a rebound. 1, 2, and it works out. It works out. But I want to explain this. So rebounds. It's, I know a lot of people just, they like to say this game's filled with rebounds. But this is what set it up. So I want to explain something. The more you do stuff like this, the more chances you're going to create for yourself. And the more chances you create, more goals that come from it. It's not always about like actually finishing and getting the ball in the net. That will come within time. You'll get better at these little finesse movements and timing. But it's about extending the play, allowing you to get into the box, get into a pressured scenario, and then going from there. Because if somebody holds possession 70% of the game, I absolutely hate it. And usually when somebody's holding 70% possession and they have like 5 shots and that's it, that means that they're not taking any risk whatsoever. And they have almost 0 chances on goal, typically, right? They have like maybe 1, right? Maybe 1. So when players are holding it for 70% and not taking enough chances, essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to be extremely efficient and convert on the highest level. I'm not saying we have to do that at all, especially in this game at this skill level, even just being elite. Now, to be at like 1,000 SR plus, you have to be very efficient with finishing. So if you're given an opportunity, you really have to be able to finish. But for like low level elite or just like players that are like at this level, Division 1 type of thing, realistically, if you just bump this number up, if let's say you're a 70% possession player and you're only getting 5 chances, try to play a little bit faster. Get down to like 55%, right? Get down to 55. Now you have to be a better defender. Get down to like 55%, but get this number up to like 15, right? Get that number up. And next thing you know, you're going to start noticing yourself. And I'm not talking about shots. I'm not necessarily talking about direct shots. I'm talking about opportunities on goal. This is an opportunity when one of these when one of these players break. This is what I consider an opportunity. Even if it doesn't pan out to where you want, this is an opportunity. You broke their defense, and they had to beat you one-on-one. And so you broke their defense, and then they win this position. But guess what happens? You get yourself in such a good spot. You end up winning this ball. They're pressed, and then you score based off of just, standard passing. So, what I'm trying to say is just if you can just create the opportunity and getting into that space the way you did, pulling and shifting, pulling and shifting, goals are going to come from it. Good is going to happen, and the vice versa on defense, right? The less chances, and so it's a little early here. So this is where I don't like. So this is a good chance. So the fullback's up. So like this guy, you should just be crushing. When players pull their fullback like this, it's the easiest way to attack. So if you watch, he's right here. You pull, there's the fullback pull. Just wait. Absolutely just wait. You're in the better spot. Which way is going to be faster to score a goal? This way or that way? Or around the edge or right in the middle? Right in the middle. So we can kind of try to kill their momentum. So right now what I'm thinking is now he has to rotate all the way out, and we have to go right here. Now, ideally, if we're really going to be able to beat him, we need to have the pass hit us like behind. We almost need the pass to hit us like this way, right? We almost need it to come around the backside of the opponent to really then be able to get this like sharp cut where he's overcommitted. It's very rare that we can really hit this way. So we get the ball and like it rotates on the interior, and then he's able to like, wiggle you all the way to the corner type of thing and wait for your cutback. It's very systematic. Instead, what I want to see is a little bit of a different movement. So right here, we let this run. Because in his head, he is going to be so worried about this that he's going to most likely shift this way. But you know what happens? If he starts to switch and then runs this way and you start to dribble this way, next thing you know, all you have to do is dribble into this spot, then start to L1 boost, and guess what he's going to do? His momentum's going to start taking him from this way to most likely come it this way. And then the second he turns and rotates, your player is going to be about right here, sprinting at full pace now. And now you just killed his momentum. Looks like you're about to speed boost. And then you just rip that pass and you just link up with it. And then now his momentum's killed going the wrong way. And you have way more space, way more time. And this is just like a cheeky way to create time and space. And it's called hold up. I just holding up the play and just making your opponent like kill his momentum. So like right here, you can see how his momentum just carries. Well, we could have just stayed right here and we could have just like attacked this position, forced that commitment, and then rotated that way. And so try to eliminate pawns when we can. You still have a really good opportunity here. Do we have a finishing technique? And you still score. So it doesn't even matter. But what I'm trying to say is like if you're playing a really good defender, he's not going to sprint all the way out there, right? He's not going to sprint like this and just charge at you like this and then just leave a gap right behind him. He's not going to... Bro, look at this dude. Where's he going? You know what I mean? Like, what's he doing? And so what I'm saying is like, you score here, but like if you're having troubles with like better defenders, that's an example of something that you could do in that moment to try to create space. I have like a signature creative run pullback. I use that right there. So fullback again. You see this fullback break, you need to attack that as fast as possible. Boom, there he is. Again, he breaks. I like the creative run. Now you separate it out. And so this is where like we just have to be ahead of the play. Think about it. He's charging at us. He is charging at us. What do we think he's going to do? We should ball roll, try to bring his momentum, and then rip out. Boom. Then sprint out. You're trying to get away from him. This is crazy defense. This is insane defense, right? This is so unorthodox, just sprinting at you. But these are games that we lose, and these are players that have success doing that type of stuff. And so when they're successful at it, you just have to think. You almost have to just like train your thought process a little different. And this is a pretty good movement right here. I'm not going to complain about this, but it's like let me explain. Like, he's going to be overly aggressive, and let him be aggressive and let him work his self against himself. Like, what I like to say is, when we react, we're going to be behind the play. When we anticipate, we're going to be ahead of the play. And so what happens is most players are trying to always anticipate because it's faster. It requires more speed. And so a player like this is trying to get ahead of the play, so aggressive, but like with almost no reason. He's trying so hard to get ahead of the play that all you have to do is just wait for him to make a mistake, and then he'll just sprint by you, and then you can just open it up. So like little manipulation, so like little fake, little cut, a little jab, and he'll fly. These guys like they're tweaking out. They're constantly tweaking out. Oh no, and there's the bad rotation, but we do step. So this is where you can probably fix. So here we go. We're rotating and keeping this wide. This is really good movement here. I really like this. I'm okay with this. That's not, wrong movement. So you see how you take a step this way? We need to take a step this way. So we need to make sure that we can eliminate this position first before we're going to take that movement out. We want to make sure we get ahead of that position and maintain the spot between the ball and the goal. Right now, he's ahead of that space. So now we have to come back down a little bit, and this is where you're going to need to use that R1. And so this is what ultimately, I don't care how you do it. There's so many different ways to do this. But basically, what I really care about is is somebody not coming this way, and then him not coming, wiggling back, and then ripping a pass behind us, right? And what I want to do is force that way. I want to force it back. So to do that, what we can do is a few things. One, we can use the center back to cut out the edge and then kind of come over this. Now, this is an aggressive position because he doesn't have a pass. And then what we can do is try to then be really quick to eliminate that run as well. So that's one way to play this. Now, that's a little bit more aggressive. Now, the passive way to play this is to, of course, take that and take this into structure and make him rotate this play in basic structure. Now, there's another way to rotate this as well, is cut this down and then cut this up and then release this position. And so there's a few ways. This is what I call a swarm technique. Requires a lot of player switching, back and forth, constant player switching. But basically, we don't do that. And you see how he's able to essentially get this pass, and that allows for a potential opportunity, a very dangerous position. And so now it's a 50-50 chance. And so there's chance number 2, right? That's a strong chance number 2 we've given them. We've gotten 2 chances, they've gotten 2 chances, kind of, but they have 1 goal off of a non-chance. I would say it's not even a non-chance because it was kind of lucky, but this is good. This is great. This is good movement. Just a little bit cheeky. I think what you can do is do what I recommend is like try to drag him with you. And then, send him in on a run. And then while you're doing that, send him on a run. And so now we're going to try to be a little bit more creative. And so like what I want you to see is like, get him to follow us, right? Get him to follow us. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to like do this little wiggle movement, right? So we're going to have to like do this little shimmy, shimmy up, shimmy down, shimmy left, shimmy right. And then what we're going to try to do is really look for those like passing lanes, right? We're going to try to rip those angles. But the thing about it is when you give an opponent one read, they're just going to continuously read that constantly. And so if you see this as the read, this defender's not great. And so when you see this, all I see is like him trying to defend this. There's no real angle yet, right? However, if we go back and we send both of these on a run, and then we take this position here, right? We take this spot and we reference this location. Now we've gained a lot better angles. So now we can actually attack in this rotation, like through this way, and then we can also take and rotate the passing lane through here. So the idea is that all we really want to do is just try and drag him with us, or drag this up, and then we're gonna try to sneak attack him. But basically, the best players in the world, they're able to create 2, 3, 4 runs at the same time. They're able to track those runs as an attacker, and then defending wise, you have to track everything, right? And so if you're defending, it's mayhem. And our point on the attack is really to create chaos and then find that gap, right? Create chaos and then find the space, right? That through ball, that over the top ball, that cheeky bounce pass, that cheeky ping pass, that cheeky, whatever it is. But you really need to find a wiggle here. And so this is okay. I'm not saying what you did here is bad at all. What I'm saying is this is like a Division 3 movement, when this is like an elite movement, right? This is like a different movement, because now we've added more players into that position. Now you break this position, I don't think an elite player is really gonna commit over, they're really not gonna commit like that. But be careful. So then we rip too early. So this again, we get into that queen spot. And I see this so many times. I see this so many times. We get into this queen spot, and then what happens is we get really nervous. And I get nervous too. So I do the same thing. I do the same thing all the time. So I get nervous here too. But basically, we get right here, and then we just right? And then we just want to rip a shot, pretty much, right? Because you're thinking, I've got Gavi, I've got finesse shot plus. I'm just going to try to rip this shot. There's no angle, right? There's no angle. Instead, what I want you to think about is, what advantages do you have? Fullbacks out of position, center backs out of position. We've got a wide player this way, right? We've got a player running in behind us. We got another player right here. Send these guys on a run. Get them involved, right? Dribble backwards a little bit. Create some separation. Make him force commitment, right? This guy's going to commit to you. And so you do a little cheeky dribble, kind of, but I think, what do? We get right here. We do a decent dribble. This is decent. R1, though, this way. And so that's okay. And so we just dribble too long. Yeah, and then it just goes right, and then we just try to rip a finesse. So your idea wasn't terrible, but the efficiency on it was, I think, just slightly lacking. So what we really need to be is right here. But what happens is your mind is so set on this finesse shot, when we could have just turned around and then pulled this guy with us, and then try to cheeky and try to send him through, and then try to hit this and then try to rip that. If that does, anyways, we'll go ahead and continue. So I know we're about halfway through, so I'm going to try to let it roll just a little bit more so we can get more scenario work. But that's good here. Good movement, and this is a rotation. Good. So let him pull. Just like you have it happening. I'm actually going to kill my camera. And then you go right back into that space. Great movement. This is where is this pass the worst thing to do? No, but I do believe that what you should be trying to do is get this player to this, in front of this zone. So, you should be trying to get past this line, this barrier, right? So it's really going to be about right here for that rotation. So if you actually, what you should be doing is speed boosting to this location and then trying to beat to that position, because now what you can essentially have happen is him actually coming into this run, and you might be able to beat that space, and then you can cascade waterfall, and you have you get an extra man in there, but you still rotate, and we just play it way too fast. So again, this is just a speed thing, and so this is a timing thing. So this is an area where what we should be really thinking about is not going fast, but thinking about where we should be precise, right? So I want you to think about, okay, what did we break? We broke the fullback. Who is this? This is the center back. Center back's so far out of position. Where's his holes going to be? Well, his holes, we're thinking, is going to be here, right? So what is he thinking that's going to happen? He's most likely going to try to take that position. The actual angle, the position that might open up, the finishing position is actually going to be over here. This is where I see the zone actually going in the end. And so what I think, and the only person we really have to worry about if we can beat him is this guy right here. And this is all we have to do. And so even if you're not able to beat that space, we could dribble to this position, let him run. Okay, so this is really kind of how I see it. Dribble to this position, let him go, let this guy go, and then you beat him by speed, right? So you've got so much time here. Look at this. When we have time, it's usually when the defense is out of position. We don't want to be too slow, because if we play too slow, then of course they can set up. But we don't want to play too fast where we rush ourselves. And if you think of it, you almost have a timer. So the second the timer goes off, the timer should be like this. So like right, so you're fine, good play, boom, we're fine, no timer, and almost, not yet, boom, there's the timer. So this is what I call a break. This is a crosshair position break. So he breaks this position. When fullbacks break, you should easily clean up. If you're not in Division 1 or like Division 2, usually it's because this is like the most common mistake, and it's so easy to fix or easy to beat. And so the second this goes off, a timer should go in your head. Now we should be thinking fast. Now we should be thinking, okay, full center backs out. Now I just need to beat him to this space, and then I need to play slow. So boom, we beat him into that rotation. Now we can play slow. You see what I mean? And so even that ball rolled, now we can play slow. Let him run in here and maybe try to work this position. Get him to commit here and then try to get to the space to hit this, right? So you want him to go all the way through, and then we're going to dribble type of thing. We're going to dribble to like this location or like this location, depending on if we can beat it. And with speed boost, with quick step plus, I know you could do it. And so we just rip a pass right in the box. Again, it's okay, but boom, you can go right back to him. Single pass. This shouldn't be a dribble touch. This should be a pass right here. And then we're going to just try to pull him. And then all you have to do is get a read. If he jumps down, then you pass it. If he jumps forward, then we continue to go. And so you had another read there. But again, that's an opportunity, so I'm good with it. I'm good with the opportunity, and that almost led to another goal off of a poor break point by him. So again, decent. We're just once you get the timer going, you don't have to really rush it, right? We don't have to force ourselves to making, those type of, I guess, mistakes. But boom, there you go. Great tackle here. There's a turn. Step overs. Wait. Almost. No. Good rotation. Great timing here. Good timing. Boom. Here it is. This is where it gets tricky. And good. I'm okay with this. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with you making a mistake here. I'm okay with this spot right here. So let me just pull this back just a hair. So you do a great job rotating into this position. I want you to reference this space. We really need to take this space up. And so we need to get to like this spot here. Ideally, what we want is a commitment from here. And if he comes this way, then we make that pass. So he comes this way, we do this rotation, and perfect. And so what this ultimately does is it creates this separation gap, right? And so this is like an analytical thought that you should be saying, hey, I'm going to try to pull him, so I rip this pass. And boom, that's exactly what you do. So good. Up to this point, we're playing flawless. Right here, we're good. Rotation should be, you see how you go inside, that's okay. It made your timing off. And so if we see this right here, when we're receiving the ball, I want you to look at this analog stick. Your analog stick is going this way. That means you're going to essentially take a dribble movement from this position like this with your rotation inward. Now, that can be good if you have a slotted pass here and then you can just dink that pass through. But when a player's rushing us and we don't have the right proper runs, we want to do it a little bit different. So instead of going that way, we just want to take this rotation and we want to take the first touch this way. And so then we can exit that lane, right? And so you kind of get caught up and you get into a position. That's a small mechanic thing. But ultimately, you got to a good spot, you recognize the attack, and then you pull out. The problem is, this is something that happens to me in my gameplay is like at least in FC24, is I would get to that spot all the time, and then I would get clobbered. And so what happens is I can get to that spot. It's no different than like solving a Rubik's Cube for me. Once you learn it, like riding a bike, once you learn it, you know how to do it. But then what happens is there's those small, tiny nuances of being able to avoid tackles and getting out of that space. And that's one of those tiny mechanical things. But when it comes down to it, what I think you should be recognizing in that moment is the mini mechanics. And what I mean by that is like those tiny little touch, right? L2, R1, slow dribble to turn and rotate and get the player's shoulders back and forth. And that's going to like effectively impact like your movement here to be able to create that wiggle and then try to create that run. But what I noticed when I was playing, when I would get to this position is if I get tackled here, then guess what happens? Boom, straight up the middle. Now they're on a break point, and then they're on a counterattack. He makes a really dumb pass. But I was losing games because I was losing the ball there in an aggressive position with center mids going forward, everything going forward. And then I had open space between my center backs and CDMs. But the second I cleaned that up, I went from like a 750 SR when I come back to the game after not playing for 2 weeks. That's something I clean up. It's just like tiny micro mechanic work. And it's something I clean up and I go from like a 750 SR. I'm playing with the speed. I'm not playing with the efficiency. And that's the difference, right? Getting those tiny little mechanic efficiency. You fix that. And there's little tiny and you're probably saying what do you mean? What I essentially mean is like when we're rotating this ball. So like you're taking the controller stick and you're going like up, you're going clockwise instead of counterclockwise when you're receiving the ball, or like a tiny ball roll to like get him to break. So like if you had turned this way and then we ball rolled, if we like do a feint left and then he jumps the lane this way and then we do a ball roll into like a speed boost and jump that. Those are the tiny details that can take you from like this moment right here into just crushing your opponent, just absolutely just annihilating your opponent. And so like, I was going to, looks like my game capture was off, but I was going to try to show an example, but the idea is that we just need to be a little bit cheeky like this. This is great. So this is what I mean right here. These shimmy movements. And I know you know what I'm talking about. But like right when we get here, your shimmy movement has to be perfect when you're receiving the ball because you have to reference the space. But this is a big topic because this happens with every time you touch the ball. Every single time you touch the ball and you're under pressure, that first dribble, that first movement has to have some sort of movement. That has to have some sort of like, cut move. And so, boom, you do a great job. I think you do a pretty good job here. We just didn't receive the initial play. So, like right here, ball roll, cut, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. You do a great job, and then you rotate, right? Gets a little bit tight, and it will get tight, and then we're just a little bit off again on timing here. So, like what I'm seeing, Raquelme, what I'm seeing, Lewis, is your timing is really the issue. Your mechanics are close. You're slightly off on what mechanic you're using, but like ultimately your timing's just slightly too fast or it's slightly too slow, right? Typically it's going to be too fast at this level. When we get into like Division 1, players play at a high speed, but they don't play with efficiency. And so you're close. Like I see efficiency movement, so like this pass out, there's no need, right? There's no need to just rip this pass right away. So you win it right here. Boom, there's your win. No need. I'm good with the really long pass out, but there's nothing to do here. So you could hit this one. No need to try to rush that. Boom. Too tight of an angle. If you are going to be making this pass, it has to be a ping pass. Has to. You can't really go tiki-taka this far with this mount. I would be doing an incisive to this position, or I would be playing it to hole it, send this on a run, and then play this out, and you get a little bit more space. But those are those moments. You could have played slower there, right? We could have played slower there, and now he's got a possession, and then he scores on us. Or almost, there's another opportunity, though. So he gives him another huge opportunity, and against a 15-0 SR type of player, that's going to get crushed. An elite player, you're just going to get crushed there. That's a goal, right? And so those are the moments that we need to clean up, and that's totally on us, right? So we can totally great movement. Great movement, and our timing's just slightly off. Great dribble here. Great pass through, and our timing's slightly off. So this is good. You see how you're being cheeky back here? So this is fun. So let me just step back just 1 second. So this is what I like to see. So I don't know if you watch American football, but there's a position called the quarterback. And what I think about is like, this is my quarterback position. When we have two runs going this way, because I'm American, I guess, and we're going to be trying to rip like a pass like this, right? We're going to be trying to like hit like a through pass this way if it's going to be more incisive, if it's going to be over the top, right? Whatever we're thinking. Or what we can try to do is hit like another incisive pass. But the idea is that all I want to see is a little angle where he comes on the interior here and he comes out this way. And then next thing you know, all I have to do is like fake this pass, or all I have to do is fake this pass here. And then the second that run comes in, we can hit that. And so you see this movement. There's no need to kill your player's momentum like this just yet. There's no need. Now you're creating a lot of space and separation. You're doing a fine job, but you just killed all your momentum, and now he's in halfway structure. Now you could rip this, and he's probably fine. This guy's really giving you a lot of space, right? He's giving a lot of space, but there's so much stuff that we could do, and all you have to do against players like this is slow down. Because if you just pass it right here, and then you just dribble to like this spot, and you stop, guess what? Boom, he's going to jump you. And then all you have to do is, looks like it's going to run this way. All you have to do is tap L1 and just hit a through pass. Like, honestly, sometimes it's that easy. So, like, you see how he's making this swooping run. So when players make these, like, swooping runs at you, when they make these, like, little swooping runs, it's so easy this guy is defending in a way that, like, is just exposing everything. So, like, right here, look at him. He's running backwards, right? And that's okay. And then now he's like running this way, and then he's going to be running this way, and then he's like completely out of the play. And so then you're forced into a weird spot. But if you just slow down and let that space open, and then just hit a simple pass with a simple through pass, you're open, right? And I know it's easier said than done. Oh no, and then we opened up, and that's on us. That's just on us. That's just a player switch issue. So this is a fine position. That's the big mistake. There's a big mistake, and that opens up here. But when you opened up here, you make a bad player switch. You're thinking you're doing this, and you're doing that. You make the right player switch, to be honest, but you make the wrong movement. So you just opened up. So that has nothing to do with him being good. That's just us making a mistake in a crucial scenario. So. And that's how FIFA can be. It can be unrewarding to us when, we make a small mistake, and this guy's just charging everything, making so many mistakes, right? And so like, even like, we're just not referencing that space. So boom, wide, good. And then we're going boom, 1, 2. This is good. See, this is good movement, but this is stuff I feel like you're very knowledgeable about. And so you could have hit that. Dude, that's good pass. Patience. Close, but I think you still went a little early. So let's think about this. So you get into this spot. You don't need to pass this. The second he drops, honestly, dribble, bring another body in. So right here, you fake, boom. Guess what? You're good. Now continue to dribble. Continue to dribble this position. You want to get to like right here. The reason why you want to get to this spot is because if he steps, we pass. Right? If he steps this way, we pass. If he steps this way, we pass here, right? You're just looking for that angle, and I think you just you're playing it too quick. You're playing it just too quick. So like right here, you're just ripping a pass. He's coming at us, right? So the second he steps in, so we're fine here, but you see your dribble is coming this way. Dribble's coming this way, so now our reference point should actually be dribbled this way. So we don't have a pass just yet. So we need to dribble this way. Dribble, and then essentially like an L2 pass kind of idea. You get into an okay spot regardless, and so I'm not going to like rip you too much because it's ping pass coming across. This is just not a poor. You get also the first touch. So boom, first touch, but the dribble you shouldn't be aiming this way. And the reason why you shouldn't be aiming there is because the most likely where he's going to tackle step is directly into this lane in this position. And so you should be avoiding that tackle step and then just trying to get a little wiggle, and then all you're going to try to do is get a slight space. And I understand trying to take that first time. I'm not mad at that. I like that. I'm okay with you taking that. I'm okay with that chance. I'm okay with that because that's a one-on-one scenario. But again, like to finish, to really get good at finishing, we have to be able to like be a little bit more methodical and slow those plays down when it comes in. I'm not saying slow down to like a pause. What I'm saying is you need to continue the momentum going forward, but we need to be more methodical. Let those runs be in open space. Let them create space for us. If they're charging us, if they're pressing us, let them make their own mistake. Like we made a mistake. We accidentally just went the wrong way. Again, we accidentally just went the wrong way. There's a shift. Oh my goodness. And we win it though. And so let him make that mistake. You see how he's charging? Boom. Now attack that space. De Jong's out. He's got one CDM. He's got no fullback. Hit here. Don't hit this. So many people are going to hit this pass. Don't hit that. You should be hitting this pass. And the reason why you should be hitting this pass is to kill the momentum of this guy again. So you're right here. You're fine. But now you're going to be in a position where he's going to be able to step out on you. And so the way I perceive this is get him to commit to you here and then just try to wiggle and get him to try to turn and then try to hit that pass, right? And sync that up. Get the game out here because you have so much more space back here, right? You have so much more space to hit a through pass when the line's up here versus down here. You see what I'm saying? And so like right here, there's no angle. There's not really a huge opportunity for a through pass based off of like the movement, speeds, and the momentum. Now, what you could do in this is that directional nutmeg skill and then try to rip a pass instead of that ball roll. So that's one thing, or turn out and recycle. And so but Lewis, I think one of the main things on this is actually just being able to have like the tactical awareness. So on the SAM scale, so efficiency, awareness, and then also, mentality, the awareness should be, so the awareness and mentality should be, okay, my opponent is playing extremely aggressive. You should be recognizing this. You should be able to recognize that your opponent is charging at you at full might. He's charging at you like crazy, man. When he charges at us like crazy, that should give us the, context clues to say, hey, I have time. I have space. Look at this. When people charge, they create space. You know what I mean? So boom, you do a good job. That's fine. The thing about it is right here, instead of going at him, you should be taking like a bait. You should be like dribble baiting him, if that makes sense. So you should be baiting him to step forward. So it's like right here. Good bait. See this? Now he's just charging. There's no point for that. There's no reason. And then boom, you do it just fine. Simple one-touch passes, and then you do a great through pass, but you're not confident with it again. That's number 2. That's the second huge opportunity that you had, and you weren't confident with it. Because if you do an R1 animation with the first touch, I mean, you probably score that. So like your speed of play is much faster than this opponent. Your movement's a lot smarter than the opponent. He's just playing what I call wave defense, and he's charging at you and he's throwing you off. And so like right here, this is good. You're in this movement. There's no tactical break. There you go. This is good. This is good. Patience, and close. I'm good with this. This is probably your best build up. Look, you were able to win that. Oh, you had that opportunity. You had that opportunity. Just a little bit late. Good read. Great quick step. And oh my gosh, that should have been game. That should be goal. That was the best opportunity. We could feel that. Like you could feel it from my words that was going to be a goal. And it was because you were slower there. Our timing was slower. We were more methodical. We were anticipating his movements. And so now we're doing this. Great. Tap R1, pulling back, let him run. And so you see how he's stepping back? Let him bait, right? And so sometimes, he might be better than anticipate. But when you pass it like this, back and forth, and he doesn't step, hold it. Hold the ball right here and try to get him as a step, right? And then move this in. And again, another way to do this is send Lorente on the run and then take this angle. Now what he's going to be worried about is which does he cover? Does he cover this or does he cover the run? Now we're attacking arguably the most important spot to defend, and he's having a full power speed going behind his line. What does he defend, right? What does he defend? Be cheeky. add more value instead of being one-dimensional. That's a one-dimensional play. All he has to do is just step back, and he's going to be able to defend that. But if you use, you know, creative runs, you throw a run in here, you throw a run, blah, 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 right? You get, I think you get what I'm trying to say. But okay, I'm going to just try not to pause too much because I think there's a lot of this game, and I think it might go into extra time here. So, but I just late on this, late on that, and then that's all right. There we go. Turn. That's good. Just a little, like, we're not, yeah, we're just, it's timing, man. Our timing is just off. I know you know the mechanics. I know you know how to do these things. Good. That's a good read. A little bit off, though, but that's good read. That's a good close. Now it should be quick. Boom, quick. Hit it, 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 hit him. Boom. Now hold, wait, good. This is what I'm looking for. Now wrote, and this is, forced it. I'm okay with that force. You have to learn those mechanics, so that's an okay. But it was a little bit deep. I wouldn't probably have hit that one. Decent movement. Didn't expose anything. Good. Good player switches. Good player switches, and that's unfortunate, man. Those were pretty good player switches. We player switched. So the way I like this is all good. And then what we need to do is actually step in like this. So we need to step in. Don't step like that. So what happens is now you essentially put him one-on-one. So you could have eliminated this position, and then all you have to do is step down with hold it here, and then he's not able to get into that space. And so we do this, and so we overstep. So my hold it would have been like right here, and then I probably would have been pulling and pinching and then pinch like this. My movement's very, and so then we're just player switch off. Yeah, and so we just went to the wrong space. And so not pulling that fullback in, rotated your defense down, now allowed him to have some space there, it looks like. So now we're going full aggressive. And you rip a Travella off the bat. Classic. This is just classic FIFA. Boom. I just want to see the pass. There it is. Simple position and then rip. Yeah. Decent. Very nice. Very nice. I think this probably goes into extra time. Yeah, it does. Okay. Just to make sure we cover everything here. Stay in. Good. Good movement in. Good movement in. This is good. And this is where we made a mistake, but that works. That was tight. Very close. Good. Again, you're very one-dimensional here. You see how there's no variation. There's no variation. You get stuck in this one-dimensional, like, you get stuck in this pass. You just get stuck in doing this. Just right here. And what I want is, I guess, it to be more like this. Does it make sense? So it's going to be like really long runs, and then that will track him all the way back. And so, like right here, you're fine. And then this movement's fine. Let him come to you. Let him come out to you. Wait for him. Wait for him. You don't need to be taking this wide. There's nobody wide. There's nobody there. Maybe you can hold it, but you need a player lock that. You need a creative run that, right? And so there's no angle wide, so you're fine. But then you're turning back, trying to go wide again. And so you're a little bit off. And so our timing's a little bit off. We're fine. We're fine. And then we just make a bad pass. You're trying to hit this. And it looks like the mechanics are off. But like it's one-dimensional. So all he has to do is be lucky within one area, right? But yeah, all he has to do is be lucky in one spot. And too fast. So like right here, let's think about this. We're in this zone. Look at this attack. Boom. Now what should we be doing is turning this way. Send a run. as Cinderella the runs, right? Send these runs. Call me Cinderella. I don't care. Send the runs. Send as many as you can now, and then all you're going to try to do is sneak attack him. And so, like, whichever run is going to be there first, but by sending him first and not sending this, you lose this momentum, you lose the momentum of Hold It, and you lose this momentum. Now, depending on if you want to use Hold It or not, you don't send that, right? But if you look at this time and space, you had the opportunity here to turn this way, send this run, and send this run minimum, and now you have a 3-on-2. Now, what happens is this space right here. So this space closes down really quickly, and so all you have to do is worry about these guys if you do. But if you're right in this position, you're most likely going to create space anyway. So ultimately, it's like send more runs, slow the timing down, find the space, and telling somebody to slow down is a really weird thing, because I don't want you to play slow. Like, I don't want you to play necessarily like reactionary. I want you to be anticipating, but with balance. And so what that means is when players are when they over anticipate. So like if I'm playing like a top, like 1,000 SR plus, a top 200 player, usually I have to play in a way to where I manipulate what they are thinking. And so what that means is that if they think that if they see a deep run going through, what are they most likely to defend? They're going to defend the deep run. So what happens if I send another run while I'm defending that deep run? Well, then they're going to be trying to make the most efficient position possible, right? And so if I can try to time something to where it works at the exact same time, usually I have to slow down. And this was a great play, by the way. This was a great play. So you keep on getting this rotation. So your rotation's fine. So like when things are going fast, you look really smooth. See how he jumps? Your movement's good here. 1, 2. Good rotation. Good turn. He jumps, and then this is it. 1. You got him. So he steps, and boom. But what did we do? We slowed it down. And dude, this finishing is so unrewarding. Unfortunately, actually, the game wants you to like take the ball this way, but he's also moving the keeper now. You see how he's moving the keeper? So that's technically a chip, which is so annoying. That should be a goal, man. If you really hit precision pinpoint, if you're on assisted, that might if you're on precision, you should be on precision though. So your angle. Yeah. That's one of those things that I would have to feel it. That's where I get stuck a lot, to be honest, or that's where I make some of my finishing mistakes. But that's where if you have the low driven finishing style, you want to use that in these open spaces. And I think the devs need like last season we could technical dribble past the goalkeeper, and that made so much sense. Then he steps in and he rips a shot. So off of a free kick. So again, when it comes to this, we want to just force him wide. Again, the interior position, you're good. And we missed that step. So we don't want to commit here. Now we need to build time. So we need to step in, step down like this. Now our movement should be backtracking this way. You see the backtrack movement? It should be back, and we step this way. So it's very inefficient movement by us. And then we stepped, and now we're way overpriced. And so that puts us at the same like defensive skill as our opponent. And so so when we're one-on-one like this, what we really need to be focusing on is maintaining this position like this. We step in, and the whole point is to make him not take this direct lane, but also be able to manage our direct path. So we're going to try to stay as much speed as possible. And so instead of like going this way and then cutting this way and this way, that kills our momentum. But by taking this angle, we're able to maintain momentum and then cover both positions. So you see how you just go direct back? That killed your momentum. So now you have to play catch up. So now you're in a catch up position. And so me personally, if I'm ever in a catch up position, I almost always go direct to goal. And then I kill it a little bit early to defend this. and then I'll play one-on-one. I'd rather play one-on-one with the goalkeeper because the chances of somebody scoring at this is really high anyways. And so it's just almost we got player switch like right here. So right here, yeah, that little angle. Yeah, I'm just gonna speed this up. Okay, so like right here, yeah, so we made that mistake, and then we weren't fast enough here to get that. So it took a little bit, but we're okay. And then if you look at this, you're sprint jockeying, and you should be in a full out sprint to break this into sear and then force him wide. So we didn't get him forced wide, and we were looking for that step. So if anything, if you're gonna step there, you really need to like slide tackle. And so we just missed that. So that one's all right. It wasn't too wild. It's just a little unfortunate. Does he hit this? Yeah, he does. And how does he get this? That's all right. So now you have to come out, and we do get a goal. Ref of a kickoff. See, this is much smoother. Boom, 1, 2, 1, 2. You see how you got the angle? You see how you get this angle? So 1, boom. You see how you wait for him to commit? He commits. That creates all this space. And then you wait, and then you hit that angle. And so, like, by waiting for him to commit, we get that space. And so then it's like, then we force that. So like this, boom, we're great space. Boom, perfectly timed pass. We're fine. But now what's happening is you're trying to sprint touch in here. That's not the right mechanic. You need to use like R1. You need to use like R1 and then flick with the right stick. Your right stick flick this into this location. Or what we need to do is actually pull out of this. Or you could try to let it run. I don't think letting it run would work. It would get pulled down. Or you could try to potentially hit a speed boost. I think you're going to get caught up. So this is like, you have to hit like a first touch. It's not going to be a sprint touch in this position. And so I'd be pulling out, because look at how powerful this run could be if you get to this spot and let all these guys, again, let all these runs go through. You let all these runs go through, you're getting a goal. Like, you're just going to get a goal. And so you forced it at a low percentage when you had much higher percentages. And good press. Unfortunate there. That stuff happens to me quite a bit, to be honest. That's a really tough mechanical position. 1, 2. Good. Patient. And see timing. We should be able to read that. So we should, the second that animation doesn't go through, cancel it. Hit a fake. Pull out. Because what happens is when that animation locks, that game is trying to animate to say, hey, we missed it, but that doesn't look like the animations that should be present. So then we're charging. That's all right. You're kind of in full out blitz mode. Stay on the interior. That's fine. Very nice. Step. Good. Now turn. Boom. Wait. And again, too quick. Just too quick. Wrong button and too quick. This is all good movement. Your movement is very smooth here. But just because we can pass really fast doesn't mean we're making the right pass. You're in a great spot. You don't need to mess that up. You don't need to force that. If anything, you could actually just dribble into this position, get him to step, and hit that through. Right? Now, if he steps back, then you have to step this way. But still, again, with one dribble, we'd be able to see which way that lane goes. What you could also do here is creative run backwards, send this run through, and then try to wiggle, get him, and then shifty. Get shifty right here. But the second you get in that space, you'd be shifty. Oh, we get really in your offside. Man, it's just, dude, you're way better than this guy. You're way better than this guy. It just, he caught you off guard in some regard. So that pass, poor. We get the tackle. This is where the adjustment needs to happen. So the best players in the world can quickly adjust and break what their train of thought is and then rotate into this position. So you see how you hit a fake shot and then you get a scoop? Now your brain should be like, okay, I just missed that huge opportunity. Right? You missed it. Cancel. Now you have to cancel that one. And so, your idea was there. It was tight. It was close. But just like we referenced earlier, if you get into those moments, those animations lock, you do something incorrectly, you do something that you didn't think was correct, usually a recycle play is the best option. That's like if you do something and something happens and you're still in a really good spot, take the recycle, because it's better to recycle than potentially give up a huge opportunity. You know what I mean? And that's how I see it. Take the recycle there. Very rarely can we really like risk that moment and then get a win. And so your timing, it's all this was all about timing, man. You're way better than this guy. Your timing is just off. But that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoy the session. Lewis, let me know what your thoughts are. And if you guys like this type of coaching session, if you want your own coaching session, check me out below and link below at metafy.gg. Until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next episode.